Ladies and gentlemen, sure, here's a powerful and captivating intro for your motivational speech titled, Chosen One God Wants You Wealthy in This Way Except IT, delivered in the style of Shi Heng Yi, calm, spiritual, focused, and profound in a world where many wander without purpose. You are not here by accident, you are chosen, not by man, not by luck, but by a divine intention, a higher calling that whispers through your spirit. There's a reason why your heart feels restless. There's a reason why you sense you're meant for more. Wealth is not merely about gold or possessions. It is about alignment, spiritual alignment with your higher self, with your God-given path. The universe does not reward noise. It rewards clarity, discipline, and faith. And those who dare to accept the path will be shaped by fire, sharpened by storms, and refined by silence. But in that silence, a truth will emerge. You were not made to chase. You were made to attract. You were not made to beg. You were made to build, and you were never made to fit in, because you are the chosen one. Today, I invite you to listen, not just with your ears, but with your soul, because this is the way God wants you to walk toward abundance. This is the way. You accept who you truly are. Divine selection is not random. God has intentionally chosen you for abundance. This idea may challenge everything you've been taught about humility, worthiness, and the pursuit of wealth, but it is rooted in spiritual truth. Throughout history, we see that the people who rise to greatness, who impact lives, who bring light into the world, are not always the ones society deems worthy. They are often the ones who choose to listen to the quiet whisper in their soul, the whisper that tells them they are meant for more. You are one of those people. You are not here by accident. Your desire for a better life, your hunger for something deeper, your search for meaning and success, these are not coincidences. They are the echoes of a divine purpose that has been placed inside of you from the very beginning. When you look at the world around you, you'll notice that not everyone sees life the same way. Some are content with survival, while others are called to thrive. That call comes with an inner restlessness, a sense that you were made for something far greater than what you're currently experiencing. This is not a delusion of grandeur. It is a spiritual signal. A message encoded into your being by a higher power that has already appointed you for a mission of abundance. You were not born to suffer indefinitely or live in lack as a form of spiritual punishment. That narrative is a distortion. God's selection is precise, purposeful, and filled with intention. You were chosen to rise, to walk a different path, to become a living example of what divine favor looks like in human form. Look at the patterns in your life, the setbacks that didn't destroy you, the people who walked away so better ones could come in, the moments of clarity that broke through confusion, the inner voice that never lets you settle for less. These are not random events. They are signs. Signs that the creator of the universe is preparing you for something bigger than yourself. The pain you've endured, the struggles you've overcome, and the strength you've discovered were all shaping you into someone who can carry wealth with integrity, with humility, and with impact. Not everyone can be trusted with influence and abundance, but you have been molded to handle it because you were never meant to keep it for yourself. You were meant to multiply it, to share it, to heal others with it. This divine selection does not come with flashing lights or public announcements. It comes quietly, often during your most difficult moments. It comes when the world overlooks you, but God continues to whisper, "You are mine. I have more for you." This whisper is not just for comfort. It's a directive. It's an assignment. When you feel the pull toward growth, when your spirit refuses to be caged by mediocrity, that's God activating your identity as the chosen one. This doesn't mean the path will be easy. In fact, being chosen often means being tested more, refined more, challenged more. But all of it is for the sake of what you are being called to carry. You're being prepared for abundance, not because of ego or desire, but because your purpose demands it. There is nothing accidental about your existence, your gifts, or your dreams. You have been handpicked to break cycles, to shift atmospheres, and to bring divine wealth into the world through your own unique expression. You are not just allowed to be successful, you are meant to be. Your vision is sacred, your voice is needed, your rise is necessary. The dreams that haunt you are blueprints of the life God wants you to build. Not out of selfishness, but out of service, because someone else's breakthrough is tied to your obedience. When you walk in your divine selection, you give others permission to rise. You become the evidence that God still chooses ordinary people for extraordinary abundance. Wealth is not a sin, it's a spiritual responsibility and a divine calling. For far too long, society and even religious teachings have painted wealth as something that is to be feared, rejected, or associated with greed. This misunderstanding has kept millions of people living beneath their potential, believing that poverty somehow equals holiness or that financial struggle is more virtuous than prosperity. But this belief is not only flawed, it is harmful. It limits the reach, the impact, and the influence that spiritually grounded individuals can have in this world. God did not create you with gifts, talents, and divine vision just to see you struggle endlessly. He created you to expand, to grow, and to contribute, and for that to happen effectively, wealth is not only helpful, it is necessary. When we understand wealth as a spiritual responsibility, everything shifts. It no longer becomes about materialism or ego, it becomes about stewardship. When you are blessed with resources, you gain the power to bless others. You gain the freedom to create, to give, to build, to serve on a much higher level. Wealth in the hands of the right person becomes a divine tool for healing, transformation, and justice. It allows you to step into roles of leadership and influence without being dependent on systems that may not align with your values. It allows you to fund visions, uplift communities, support families, and live in alignment with the purpose you've been given. This is what makes it a divine calling, not because of the money itself, but because of what the money allows you to do in the world. Many people have been taught to associate struggle with spiritual depth, but if you look deeper, you will see that throughout history, some of the most influential spiritual figures were not only wise and connected to God, but also surrounded by provision. Abraham, Solomon, and even Jesus had access to support, resources, and favor. Their lives were marked by generosity and service, and that was possible because they were not living in constant lack. God uses abundance as a way to fulfill purpose. Lack does not serve the kingdom. Scarcity does not glorify the divine. What glorifies God is when you take the blessings you've been given and multiply them, manage them well, and use them to expand light and truth in the world. Wealth is not about accumulation, it's about activation. It activates your highest self, your purpose, your reach. It's about having the means to do what you were called to do without being shackled by constant financial stress. It's about having the ability to choose freedom over survival, impact over insecurity, and legacy over limitation. When you embrace this mindset, you stop apologizing for wanting more. You stop playing small to make others comfortable. You begin to see your financial growth as part of your spiritual growth, two parts of the same divine journey. Rejecting wealth does not make you humble. It often makes you unavailable to meet the needs you were designed to fulfill. God doesn't want you dependent, fearful, or limited. He wants you positioned, empowered, and ready. That readiness includes financial strength. That readiness includes understanding how to attract, manage, and grow wealth with integrity and purpose. When you step into this awareness, you no longer see money as something to chase or fear, but as something to steward, something to honor, something to use wisely because your calling requires it. The world is in need of people who are both spiritually awake and financially empowered. People who know that wealth is not evil, it's neutral, its impact depends on the heart of the one who holds it, and when a chosen one like you steps into that role, wealth becomes a sacred extension of your mission. It becomes a tool for transformation, not just in your life, but in the lives of everyone connected to you. It becomes a sign that you have accepted your role as a leader, a giver, and a steward of divine abundance. Rejecting your calling to wealth is rejecting part of God's purpose for your life. This truth may feel heavy, but it carries a powerful awakening. Many people walk through life unaware that they are turning away from blessings not because they aren't worthy, but because they haven't accepted what they are truly called to. They believe that by staying small, by avoiding ambition, by rejecting financial success, they are being humble or spiritually grounded, but in doing so, they unknowingly resist the very design God placed in them. There is no nobility in ignoring the gifts God has given you. There is no righteousness in denying your potential when that potential was divinely orchestrated. God does not make mistakes. When He places a vision in your heart, a desire to elevate, to create, to expand, it is not a test to see if you'll walk away from it. It is a call, a divine invitation to partner with Him in building something that aligns with heaven's purpose here on earth. Wealth is a part of that plan, not for the sake of indulgence, but for the sake of influence, impact, and legacy. You were not meant to hide your light, and you were not meant to struggle endlessly. Every time you turn away from the opportunity to step into abundance, you delay the mission you were sent here to complete. You silence the voice within that knows you were made for more. Rejecting this calling often stems from fear, fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of becoming someone you no longer recognize. But fear is not from God. God operates through vision, through purpose, through faith. And when He plants a seed in you to rise into wealth, it means He has already prepared the path and the provision. He is not just calling you to wealth for your own benefit. He is calling you because there are lives connected to your obedience. Families that will be fed, communities that will be transformed, futures that will be secured because you chose to say yes to your calling. There is also a deeper cost to rejecting divine wealth. It's the cost of remaining in cycles that God meant to break through you. If you grew up surrounded by lack, that was not your final destiny. It was the soil from which your mission was born. You were never meant to repeat the past. You were chosen to rewrite it, to build new standards, to shift what's possible for the generations after you. And that shift cannot happen if you keep turning away from what you've been called to claim. Accepting wealth is not about ego. It's about accepting responsibility. It's about understanding that when God gives you the ability to gain wealth, He is entrusting you with divine influence. Many people pray for miracles, for transformation, for opportunities, but when those opportunities come packaged as financial increase, they hesitate. They question whether it's right to want more, but wanting more is not the issue. It's the intention behind it that matters. When your intention is aligned with service, with growth, with healing and building, then stepping into wealth is not selfish, it's sacred. It is a step toward becoming the full version of who God intended you to be. And when you reject that, you're not just rejecting money. You're rejecting influence, you're rejecting reach. You're rejecting the ability to fully express the purpose embedded in your spirit. There are people right now who are waiting for your yes. Waiting for you to step into your next level, waiting for you to stop apologizing for being chosen and start moving like you believe it. When you walk away from wealth because of guilt or insecurity, you walk away from the divine strategy that was meant to be expressed through your life. You limit what God can do through you, not because He is limited, but because He gave you the power of choice. That choice includes whether or not you will embrace the fullness of your calling, including the wealth that comes with it. Wealth that was never about possession, but about position, position to lead, position to heal, positioned to fulfill your mission with power, clarity, and divine backing. True wealth includes inner peace, purpose, health, and financial freedom. When people hear the word wealth, their minds often go directly to money, luxury, and material possessions. But true wealth is much deeper and more expansive than a bank balance or an expensive lifestyle. It is about alignment with your higher self, harmony within your soul, and the ability to move through life with clarity, joy, and meaning. Financial success without peace is chaos. Outer abundance without inner fulfillment is emptiness. Wealth in its highest form is holistic. It nourishes your body, your mind, your spirit, and your community. Inner peace is the foundation of true wealth. It's the ability to wake up in the morning without fear, without anxiety, without regret. It's knowing who you are and being at peace with that identity. It's trusting your journey even when it doesn't make sense, and having the emotional maturity to remain centered in the face of uncertainty. When your mind is calm and your heart is steady, you are rich in a way that no currency can measure. This peace is not passive, it is powerful. It allows you to make decisions from a place of wisdom rather than panic. It gives you the ability to lead, to create, to love, and to live from your highest potential. Purpose is the compass that gives your life direction. Without purpose, even wealth becomes meaningless. You can have all the money in the world, but if you don't know why you're here, you will always feel lost. Purpose gives you a reason to rise every morning. It gives you energy when life feels heavy. It reminds you that your existence matters. True wealth means waking up every day knowing that what you do contributes to something bigger than yourself. It means your work reflects your values, your actions reflect your calling, and your life is a testimony of intention. When you are aligned with your purpose, you don't chase success, it flows to you, because you become a vessel through which divine energy moves freely. Health is often overlooked when discussing wealth, yet it is one of the most essential elements. You cannot enjoy abundance if your body is in constant pain, if your mind is clouded, or if your energy is depleted. Health is wealth because it is the vessel through which all other forms of wealth are experienced. A sound body and a clear mind allow you to show up fully for your purpose. They allow you to experience joy, connection, and creativity. When you honor your health, you are honoring your divine temple. You are signaling to the universe that you are ready to carry the weight of greater blessings because you've built the physical and emotional resilience to sustain them. Financial freedom is the external expression of internal alignment. It is not about greed or excess. It is about having options, living without constant stress, and having the ability to make choices that align with your values rather than your fears. When you are financially free, you can give generously, invest in your growth, support others, and say yes to the things that truly matter. Money becomes a tool rather than a trap. It stops being a source of stress and becomes a source of empowerment. Financial freedom is not reserved for a select few. It is available to those who are willing to align their mindset, their habits, and their energy with the principles of abundance. True wealth is not a single destination. It is a lifestyle, a state of being. It is the harmony of spiritual depth and practical wisdom. It is the integration of what you feel inside with what you manifest outside. When all areas of your life are nourished, your spirit, your health, your relationships, your finances, you begin to understand that wealth is not about having more, but about being more present, more intentional, more alive. It is a balance between doing and being, striving and surrendering, receiving and giving. Faith and disciplined action unlock the path to God-ordained prosperity. Many people speak about faith as if it's only a belief or a quiet hope that things will get better, but real faith is alive, active, and partnered with movement. It is not a passive mindset. It is a force that pushes you to move forward even when there is no evidence yet. Faith says go when fear says stay. Faith builds when logic says wait. It is the bridge between what you cannot see and what you are destined to receive. But that bridge must be crossed with more than words or prayers. It must be crossed with action, the kind of action that is intentional, consistent, and fueled by purpose. Disciplined action is where many fall short. It's easy to dream, to envision the life you want, to write down goals and speak affirmations. But none of that replaces the daily commitment to do the work, to face the discomfort, to keep showing up when no one is watching. God-ordained prosperity is not just handed out without preparation. It is released to those who prove they are ready to handle it, to manage it, to multiply it. Discipline is the language of readiness. It is what turns intentions into results. It is the structure that supports the vision and protects the promise. Without discipline, even the strongest faith can become dormant, because faith without works is dead. God responds to movement. When you take a step, even a small one, in alignment with your calling, the path becomes clearer. Doors begin to open. Resources start to show up. But none of that happens while you're standing still, waiting for perfect conditions. There will never be a moment when everything makes sense. There will never be a time when all doubts disappear. That's why faith is necessary. It gives you the courage to start before you're ready, to trust before you see the evidence. It activates the unseen, but it requires your participation. God can bless your steps, but you must be willing to take them. People often pray for breakthroughs, for financial miracles, for transformation, but they don't examine their habits, their mindset, or their willingness to be disciplined. They expect change without changing, but faith is not magic, and prosperity is not random. There is a divine system in place, one that rewards obedience, alignment, and consistency. The universe, guided by divine law, responds to clarity and commitment. It honors those who prepare for what they've prayed for. If you are asking for more but not becoming more, you create a gap that faith alone cannot fill. Disciplined action is what closes that gap. There is power in routine, in structure, in creating habits that reflect your future rather than your past. Every morning you rise with intention. Every task you complete with focus. Every dollar you manage with wisdom is a step toward the prosperity that has already been written for you. God wants to give you more, but not at the cost of your growth. He doesn't just want you to have wealth. He wants you to become the person who can carry it well. That becoming happens in the process. It happens in the day-to-day commitment to excellence, to truth, to the calling that burns in your soul. Faith will give you the vision, the courage, and the spiritual stamina to keep going. Discipline will give you the tools, the habits, and the structure to build what you've been shown. The two must work together. One fuels your spirit, the other shapes your reality. One lifts you when you feel weak, the other grounds you when you're tempted to drift. Together, they form the foundation of lasting abundance. This is not about striving endlessly or forcing results. It's about aligning with divine timing through consistent preparation. It's about showing that you trust the promise enough to work toward it daily. It's about becoming a vessel that can hold the blessing without breaking under its weight. Accepting divine wealth requires shedding limiting beliefs and embracing higher thinking. The journey to abundance is not just physical. It begins in the unseen space of the mind. Many people are trapped not by their circumstances, but by the invisible walls they've built from years of conditioning, fear, doubt, and shame. These beliefs become internal chains, keeping them small, safe, and stagnant. If you've ever thought you weren't worthy of wealth, that desiring more is selfish, or that abundance is reserved for a select few, then you've encountered these chains. They are subtle, often disguised as humility or realism, but they are actually mental programs running in the background, sabotaging your growth. To step into divine wealth, you must be willing to confront those beliefs and challenge them. You must ask where they came from, who gave them to you, and why you've carried them for so long. Were they inherited from family who struggled and taught you survival instead of expansion? Were they shaped by religious narratives that equated poverty with purity? Were they reinforced by a society that glorifies hard work but demonizes prosperity? These beliefs don't just disappear on their own. They must be uprooted and replaced. They must be examined under the light of truth, and the truth is this: God does not plant visions in your heart only to tease you. He does not call you to a life of purpose while expecting you to live in lack. The wealth you desire is already aligned with the identity you were created to embody. Higher thinking means stepping out of victimhood and stepping into responsibility. It means refusing to let your past dictate your future. It's understanding that abundance begins in your thoughts, in your language, in your expectations. People with scarcity mindsets often speak in fear-based terms. They say, "I can't afford. It's too risky. People like me never make it." These are not just words, they are declarations. And your life rises or falls to the level of what you repeatedly declare. Shifting into higher thinking requires a new vocabulary, a new mindset, and a new identity. You begin to say, "I am worthy, I am ready, I attract what is aligned with my purpose." You begin to move as if what you're asking for is already yours, because in the spiritual realm it already is. The mental shift is not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about aligning with the frequency of abundance. Just like a radio must be tuned to the right station to receive a clear signal, your mind must be tuned to the vibration of divine wealth. That means surrounding yourself with people, environments, and content that feed your belief in what's possible. It means being intentional about what you allow into your spirit, because what enters your mind consistently will shape your reality. If you continue to feed on fear, doubt, and limitation, that will be the lens through which you see the world. But when you feed on vision, wisdom, and spiritual truth, you begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles. You begin to attract what you've mentally and spiritually prepared yourself to receive. Letting go of limiting beliefs also means giving yourself permission to evolve. You are not who you used to be. The version of you that was shaped by fear and survival does not have to lead the way anymore. You can honor your past without being bound by it. You can appreciate the lessons without repeating the patterns. Growth requires discomfort. It requires releasing what feels familiar but no longer serves your expansion. Sometimes the most radical act of faith is believing you are allowed to be blessed, not just tolerated, not just scraping by, but blessed, favored, overflowing. When that belief settles in your spirit, everything begins to change. Divine wealth is not just given to those who work the hardest. It flows to those who believe deeply and align their lives accordingly. When you elevate your thoughts, your actions begin to reflect that elevation. You make choices based on where you're going, not where you've been. You begin to see yourself not as someone chasing wealth, but as someone walking in alignment with it. This is the power of higher thinking. It breaks cycles, opens doors, and prepares you to live in the abundance that was always meant for you.